Okay, I'd like to call to order the regular council meeting of July 12th, 2021. Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Here.
Mr. Sensi.
Here.
Mr. Council Magno.
I'm here.
Ms. Gibbons.
Here.
Mr. Hannon.
Present.
Mr. Harrison.
Present.
Mr. McLean.
Here.
Mr. Mowry.
Here.
Mr. O'Brien.
Present.
We have 9 members present. At this time, could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, at this time, I would like to turn to the reports of the officials and the police chief's report.
Was the library director, wasn't ready for this. Mr. Mayor, Council, hi everybody, Chief here. We are going to have National Night Out again this year, Tuesday, August the 3rd. So what we're going to do, we're going to have pizza, Lower Miners Park for the kids at 6 p.m. Well, this is primarily for the kids of the Coverdale area. If anyone else wants to attend with their child, contact Detective Gorman so we have an accurate head count. But we're gonna try and do that this year. We would ask everyone else around town if you could turn your porch light on as a show against crime, which we've been having enough of lately. So follow us on Facebook. We'll have updates on it, about other things too. We've been very active on Facebook lately if you've been following. Any questions?
I understand Mr. Consul Magno's buying the pizza. Is that true?
Well, maybe we'll go half with them. How's that?
Okay, then I'm coming.
I'll chip in too.
You're gonna chip in too?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
chip.
Thank you.
We got all the heavy hitters kicking in. What? Plenty of pizza. Thank you.
You wait.
Thank you very much, Chief. Can we turn to the fire chief's report?
Council, good evening. Municipality of Bethel Park, good evening. My name's Rob Usselman. I'm Assistant Chief with the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company. And we also have a few announcements. This year, Fire Prevention Week is October 3rd through the 9th. Last year, we were unable to do it due to COVID. So we are excited that we will be holding our open house on Sunday, October 3rd from 11 to 3 p.m., 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. We did check, the Steelers don't play till 4:25, so that's no excuse for nobody to show up. Just saying. The theme this year is the National Fire Protection Agency Association, NFPA, announced Learn the Sounds of Fire Safety. That's the main theme. Working smoke alarms reduce the risk of dying in a fire by more than half, based off of a study that they've done. So we always push the emphasis to make sure your smoke detectors are working in your structures. The other thing is, the big theme is going to be recognizing the different sounds alarms make. The NFPA did a study this year, and they found that through all the online learning that was going on throughout the United States, they would hear different alarms going off, and they recognized that people weren't reacting to it the way they probably should and take things seriously. So anytime you hear a smoke detector going off, you need to react and find out what's causing that, or call the fire department to make sure we can come and check it out to make sure you don't have an issue. Another big thing is they're going to focus on smoke and carbon monoxide alarms for devices that meet people with hearing deficiencies, so for the hearing impaired. So if you want to know more information about that, you can go to nfpa.org and watch our Facebook page and website for more upcoming announcements on fire prevention and what we'll be doing that week or that day. So here's the incident report for June of 2021. We had 3 structure fires, 1 water heater fire, 1 vehicle fire, 1 mulch fire, a minor explosion, 1 hazmat incident, a vehicle accident, couple wires down, 1 gas leak, an odor investigation, 4 good intent calls, 2 water leaks, 3 assist police, 1 assist EMS, 7 fire alarms, and 4 CO alarms for a total of 34 incidents. So it was a busy month. We appreciate everything the police, the EMS, the borough does for us, and the community for helping us stay safe when we're out there. So with that, that's all I have. If there's any questions.
Any questions from council? Hearing none, thank you very much. Can we turn to the manager's report and Mr. Christian?
Members of council, mayor, thank you so much. I get to come up here and do what I love to do the most, which is introduce people. Although not an employee, she truly is an integral member of our team. Aaliyah, could you please come on up here? Aaliyah is an intern that came to us from the local government academy, and so she is handling a phenomenal project for the municipality. She completed her undergraduate degree at UCLA in political science and is currently enrolled in a Master of Public Policy Management at Carnegie Mellon University. Prior to that position, she was working in municipal governments in Albania as a Peace Corps volunteer. She is conversational Albanian and Mandarin Chinese. Pretty much an overachiever on that last one. She's leading a critical project under the direction of our special projects, Drew Dowdell. The project will put in place the operational framework for our document management system. This system will digitize all of our paper records and create efficient workflows for managing our information systems. During the August 9th meeting, you will see a resolution outlining our new streamlined retention policy. This policy will meet or exceed the requirements as set by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Also later tonight, you will see another resolution for council to approve the destruction of nearly 400 cartons of paperwork that are past the retention timeline. This does a couple different things. One, it gets rid of our paper records that are no longer needed, and we reduce our operational footprint. Aaliyah has already begun interviewing firms to perform the digitization, say that 3 times fast, that's hard, of our record, and has mapped out their future home within the cloud. And also she has worked with every single one of our departments and gotten all of their buy-in for all of this new digital footprint. Aaliyah will be with us through mid-August before she returns to her studies at CMU. So that's a pretty long resume and pretty long introduction. As part of the internship with the local government academy, we have to bring up our interns, and it was a pleasure to bring up Aaliyah. She is a rock star. I think Drew was vying to try and get her to come work back or when she completes her graduate degree. So, but I'm gonna tell you what, she can write her own ticket. A lot of brains, a lot of drive, a lot of intel. The staff has really taken to her. So it is truly a pleasure to say thank you for what you do each and every day. It is truly an honor. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Christian. At this time, can we turn to the mayor's report and Mayor Allen? We thought you were going to give a 10-minute speech.
I thought he was too. Set that there. Okay, good evening. I have a few items this evening. The first one I wanted to mention, the trolley beautification project that we have going on. We still have a couple of flower beds that need to be attended to, so if there's anyone that's interested in helping us out, that would be terrific. You can call Janet Davin at 412-831-6800, and she's extension 211. And we do reimburse for the supplies that you will use to decorate your flower bed. The second thing I have is we've just finished the spring makeover program. So we'd like to thank everyone who participated in the spring makeover challenge. The following individuals can stop by the Bethel Park Community Center front desk to receive a participation prize. And they are Heather Kroll, Michelle Young, Alex Vogel, Beth Portran, Laura Hayes, Kim Kennedy McKinney, and South Park Shops. And would also like to thank Evie Hardware for giving away free potting soil during the event, as well as all the individuals who participated in our spring makeover challenge videos available on BPTV YouTube channel. These incredibly informative videos offer advice on everything from pressure washing lawn maintenance to gardening, and you even get a tour of Trax Farm. The next thing I would like to do is recognize one of our young adults in Bethel Park. If I could bring up Allison Scarlett. So Allison did a terrific job for us. What she did, well, she actually did two different things. The one thing that she did was the Veterans Memorial out front. She made it her project to go around and itemize and take pictures and alphabetize. Everything that she did is in a nice binder that's probably a 3-inch binder anyhow. And it's available in the library. So if you're looking for someone's name or you're looking for a paver that's on the ground, there's a book in the library that can show you exactly where it is. Now that was the SAFE project. The other project she did was she went around to all the telephone poles that have veterans banners on, and she put them on a GPS system. So now if anyone is interested in where their banner may be, you can go to the American Legion website, and I believe our website, and find out exactly where it is. So she's done a terrific job. And because of that, I have a certificate of recognition. It's presented to Allison Alley Scarlett for your dedication to the Bethel Park community, awarded this day, 12th June?
July.
Or July. Oh, this is that's the last month when you couldn't come. So it's actually June 14th, 2021. So thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much.
Jack, how many banners are there up in the municipality?
Well, I think we have about 500.
Yeah, so it wasn't an easy task. 600.
We have over 600. So that's 300 spots, 2 banners on a pole. I mean, it's amazing. And I think this is probably has to be our 8th or 9th year. Yeah. So Public Works puts them up, they maintain them, they take them down. They do a terrific job. So thank you, Susie, and certainly your group. Okay, at this time, I'd like to bring Dr. Campbell up, and Jody Mitchell, and Adam Rice. Now, Janet Davin told me today, which I never even thought about, she said, don't call her Joni Mitchell. I said, I never even thought about that, so why did you mention it? But Jody and Adam, they're from Spartan Pharmacy, and we all know what kind of terrific job they did during the COVID situation. So I have a proclamation of appreciation for Spartan Pharmacy, July 12th, 2021. Whereas Spartan Pharmacy opened its first pharmacy May 1st, 2003, and has since grown to 3 pharmacies. Whereas the spread of COVID-19 is a global pandemic affecting the lives, health, and safety of the municipality of Bethel Park residents and non-residents alike. And whereas Spartan Pharmacy opened 6 COVID vaccination clinics at the Bethel Park Community Center, and hundreds of volunteers who distributed shots, provided food for volunteers, scheduled appointments, and provided supplies. And whereas Spartan Pharmacy was able to give approximately 12,000 vaccinations to residents and non-residents alike, and increase the immunity of those who received the vaccination. Therefore, I, Mayor Jack Allen, as Mayor of Municipality of Bethel Park, in concert with the Council of the Municipality of Bethel Park, hereby recognize their value and dedication of Spartan Pharmacy for its superior service in Bethel Park and the surrounding communities. So I can't thank you enough. It was incredible what you two did. And I also brought up Dr. Campbell because it was actually the 3 of them that spearheaded anything. So I want to see if you had a couple words to say.
Couple of things. You know, this is a perfect example of a private-public partnership. Spartan brought all sorts of wonderful skills, experience, and the medical know-how to administer the vaccines. And Bethel Park, with our staff, the municipal staff, with an incredible amount of volunteers. Each clinic had over 100 volunteers from our community that made this happen as well. It was just, the planets were all in alignment. You couldn't do any better than that. So again, great thanks for everything you've done for this.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have anything to say, hopefully?
Yes, sure. First off, I'd like to thank you for recognizing us all. This was never something that we had set out to do. You know, it was a challenge. I must thank Dr. Campbell first and foremost. Pharmacies require an oversight, a physician to oversee our vaccination program, be it adverse reactions, questions. Dr. Campbell was at all those clinics, dedicating his time. Without Dr. Campbell, we could not have administered a single vaccination. Also, just the complete support for the clinics was unbelievable. Between the staff of the community center, we drove them nuts because we'd have a clinic, we'd say, okay, we can do it better. So they're like, well, we're changing it. And they always complied. But every clinic got better and better and better and faster and faster and faster. We did, almost 3,000 in one clinic in a single day. And so I want to say thank you to the Bethel Park Community Center and Bethel Park in general, the police officers that helped direct traffic, and to the residents. They were so generous. People who weren't sick, they donated food. They made monetary donations. And it really showed that a community can come together when faced with adversity. And so I thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything? No. Well, thank you very much. We certainly appreciate it. And that's my report.
Thank you very much, Mayor. At this time, can we turn to the approval of the minutes and Mr. Hannon?
I move that we approve the minutes from the June 14th, 2021 regular council meeting.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Hannon, second by Ms. Gibbons, that we approve the minutes from the June 14th, 2021 regular council meeting. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. At this time, can we turn to the bills, approval of the bills and payrolls, and Mr. Hannon?
I move that we approve bill list number 071221 in the amount of $1,545,355.35.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Hannon, second by Ms. Gibbons, that we approve bill list 071221 in the amount of $1,545,355.35. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Before we turn to the resident comments section, I'd like to acknowledge Tom Durr, our county council representative, has joined us this evening, so thank you and welcome. Okay, at this time, I'd like to turn to the resident comment section, if anybody would like to come up and speak. Hearing none, can we turn to general policy and finance, and Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mowry. First item on the agenda is the 2021 strategic plan. I move that we approve the adoption of the 2021 strategic plan per the municipal manager's memorandum dated July 6, 2021.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McLean and second by Ms. Gibbons that we approve the adoption of the 2021 strategic plan per the municipal manager's memorandum dated July 6, 2021. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. Christian, would you like to give a brief overview of the strategic plan?
Yes, sir, I sure would. So in essence, the 21 strategic plan is the operational framework that the municipality is going to use moving forward. What we've done so far to date is we've taken our current budget, other projects that we've approved over the course of the last 6 months, and then all future projects and future budget allocations and put it into an operational plan with key components, descriptions, and metrics of success. So we can truly say, hey, this is what we said we were going to do, and now we're holding ourselves accountable to see what we're going to do. As we move forward for the 22 strategic plan, what we'll do, this will be the framework that we'll use for next year's 1-year strategic plan. We'll have all our strategic partners come in, we'll do the roundtable discussions, identify some of the key projects, and then the idea is for the budget to be passed, strategic plan to be passed, the 5-year capital improvements program passed, and all the labor industry requirements passed at the same time at the same council meeting. You know, taking everything and synchronizing it at the end of the fiscal year in preparation for the new fiscal year.
Thank you, Mr. Christian.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. Okay, I'll just quickly comment. I'm going to thank Mr. Christian and all his staff. It was a lot of work to put together. We spent a lot of time on our budget and our capital budget and tell you where we're going. We don't always come back and tell you what we did. So this will be kind of a barometer or a gauge to be able to go to this document and find out what we did, what we said we were going to do, and what we actually did. So we're working on a better communications plan on letting you know, not just when we pass the budget, but maybe a little bit ahead of time what we're doing, and also talk about the things we've done in the past so it doesn't fall off our radar. So thank you to Mr. Christian and staff. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. We'll give you a little breathing room, but can we have that up and on the website by Friday, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Mr. McLean.
Next agenda item is the NLC Service Line Warranty Program Agreement. I move that we approve execution of the agreement between the municipality and HomeServe to provide the optional NLC Service Line Warranty Program to residents per the municipal manager's memorandum dated July 6, 2021.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McLean, second by Ms. Gibbons, that we approve the execution of the agreement between the municipality and HomeServe to provide the optional NLC Service Line Warranty Program to residents per the municipal manager's memorandum dated July 6, 2021. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. Mowry?
Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mowry. To give folks an idea, this is a program we're going to be offering, as the motion indicated, on an optional basis to residents if they want to obtain some protection for their sewer lines or water lines. Those would be the sewer lines or water lines that are the responsibility of the homeowner. And this is a program that's been endorsed by the Pennsylvania Municipal League, and as part of our due diligence on the program, staff contacted 39 other municipalities that have used this program and got favorable recommendations. It is completely voluntary. If residents don't want to purchase the protection, they don't have to. Part of the contracted services will be to provide education to residents so they can learn a little bit more about what is their responsibility and then what this program will offer them. One aspect of the program they offered was the municipality could have taken, in effect, a royalty of 10% of all the dollars collected under the program. We decided to not take that because we thought it was better used to reduce the cost of the program itself to the residents. So the residents will be paying a cost per service line program they choose that is less than it would have been otherwise. So stay tuned. You'll hear more about the program. You'll receive more education about it, and then you can make a decision for yourself about whether you want to take advantage of it. Thank you, Mr. Mowry.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Are there any additional comments? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannan,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. McLean.
Next is ordinance number 7-12-21. I move that we approve ordinance number 7-12-21, amending the mandatory retirement age requirements.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McLean, second by Ms. Gibbons and Mr. O'Brien, that we approve ordinance number 7-12-21, amending the mandatory retirement age requirements. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Absolutely, yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannan,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Essentially, this is a resolution or a ordinance changing something I believe it was adopted in the 80s with the mandatory retirement age, which currently is illegal. So we're just cleaning up our ordinances. Mr. McLean.
Next is resolution number R7-12-21, disposition of records. I move that we approve resolution number R7-12-21 for the disposition of records.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McLean, second by Ms. Gibbons, that we approve resolution number R7-12-21 for the disposition of records. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi, Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannan,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. McLean.
Next item is a Planning and Zoning Commission vacancy. I move that we appoint Tom Riley to the Planning and Zoning Commission to fill the unexpired term of Cynthia Rios Myers to expire on December 31st, 2021.
Second?
There's a motion by Mr. McLean and second by Mr. O'Brien that we appoint Tom Riley to the Planning and Zoning Commission to fill the unexpired term of Cynthia Rios Myers to expire 12/31/21. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. Murray,
Mr. Harrison.
I think we ought to tell the public that the position that he's filling will end the end of this year, and we fully expect that he'll apply for the upcoming tenure.
Correct. We had a member of the Planning Commission resign a few months ago, and this is just a replacement. So they will fill the term that currently expires at the end of this year. Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Any additional discussion? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannan,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. McLean.
There are no additional agenda items under General Policy and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Are there any additional items from council? Hearing none, can we turn to Health, Safety, and Welfare and Mr. O'Brien?
Thank you, Mr. Mowry. There are no items tonight under Health, Safety, and Welfare.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Are there any additional items?
I have one, Mr. Murray.
Mr. O'Brien.
I guess, where do I start? In my profession, other than counsel, I work a lot alone, so sometimes the only friend you have is the radio. And on the shift that I'm on right now, I had the opportunity to listen to Marty Griffin. And you may like him or not, and he has some very interesting points. But what he brought up this week just wanted me to share with Bethel Park and see if they wanted to join in. In this time of great discussion, I think we all need to join in on this plight or this activity. There's a little girl, her name is J.C. Amick, and she lives in Vandergrift. and she had a problem with her pool. She's currently suffering from a terminal illness, and the situation is grave. As he reached out to help her with the way he helps people, he also discovered that he wanted to do more. And he found out that her birthday is July 25th. And there's a discussion whether she will even make it to her birthday. That's how grave the situation is. So Marty said, let's fill her mailbox with birthday cards. As of right now, today, there's 1,000. So I would like to ask all our good citizens of Bethel Park to join in with Marty Griffin and send this little girl some birthday cards for her 13th birthday. And they can be sent to JC, that's Jaycee, Amick, Amick, at 1261 Lincoln Street, Vandergrift, PA, 15690. I thank you for your time. Thank you, Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Are there any additional items?
President Murray,
Mr. Consul Magno.
I'd like the opportunity to announce this Saturday, July 17th, the Miners Park grand reopening and the Coverdale 100th anniversary. The event, if you haven't been over to the park, this is a great opportunity. The event starts at 11 a.m. President Maury will be emceeing most of the program, so please still come and have a nice day there. The park is fantastic with all the new additions for the playground equipment. The fields are in excellent shape thanks to Susan Dolinar in our Public Works facility. The basketball courts have all been repainted, relined. You're going to be amazed at it. Coverdale is a hidden diamond in Ward 1 and in Bethel Park in general. If you haven't had the opportunity to walk over there and through the section of town, please, this is a great opportunity. A lot of people have had a hand in putting this program together, not only for the parks, but also for the 100th anniversary, which was really last year, but due to the virus, we couldn't have a program for it. But Bob McCormick, the historian, I would call him, of the Coverdale area, has gotten, I don't know how many, but artifacts, just a tremendous amount of time and effort from the community up there to gather all these things, and he's going to have a brief display of them at the Baptist Church Museum. So please, if you get a chance, come on up. You'll be amazed at what we've done to the park and what the people up there at Coverdale have done for their community. And I'd just like to personally thank each and every one, and President Maury for emceeing the program. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Consul Magno. Are there any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to Planning and Zoning and Ms. Gibbons? And we have no residents signed up to speak.
On the agenda is Dream Greener, a partial security reduction. I move that we approve the partial security reduction number 1 in the amount of $244,006.90 per the Municipal Planners Memorandum dated June 23rd, 2021.
Second. There's a motion by Ms. Gibbons, second by Mr. Hannan, that we approve the partial security reduction number 1 in the amount of $244,006.90 per the Municipal Planners Memorandum dated June 23rd, 2021. Any discussion of this item? Ms. Gibbons.
This and the second item are just the security reductions. When a plan is put in place, we require certain security deposits, and as the plan is finished and completed, these amounts are refunded back to the developer.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbons. Are there any additional comments? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Consul Magno.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. McLean.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Ms. Gibbons.
SDM Development LLC final security reduction. I move that we approve the final security reduction in the amount of $54,945 to SDM Developments LLC per the Municipal Planners Memorandum dated June 23rd, 2021.
There's a motion by Ms. Gibbons, second by Mr. Hannan, that we approve the final security reduction in the amount of $54,945 to SDM Developments LLC per the Municipal Planners Memorandum dated June 23rd, 2021. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. McLean.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Ms. Gibbons.
There are no additional agenda items under planning and zoning.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbons. Are there any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to Public Works and Maintenance and Mr. Consolmagno, and we have no residents signed up to speak, sir?
Yes, sir. We have 5 items under Public Works and Maintenance items. Village Green Park perimeter fencing. I move that we approve the replacement of the fence at Village Green Park for the amount of $32,460.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Consolmagno, second by Ms. Gibbons, that we approve the replacement of the fence at Village Green Park for the amount of $32,460. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. Maury, these are, the first item and the second item are fencing, just to upgrade some of our park area fencing there that the Director of Public Works asked that we approve.
Thank you, Mr. Consolmagno. Are there any additional items? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. McLean.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Consolmagno.
Birch tree fencing. I move that we approve the purchase of ornamental fencing in the amount of $10,860.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Consolmagno, second by Ms. Gibbons, that we approve the purchase of an ornamental fencing in the amount of $10,860. Are there any comments on this item? This is all part of the Birch Tree Park upgrades and stormwater management project that we're going to put some fencing around from staff's perspective and some of the neighbors' concern. Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. McLean.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Consolmagno.
The next 2 items are security cameras for our parks, to a Simmons Park and Village Green Park. I move that we approve the purchase of 4 additional security cameras in the amount of $13,965.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Consolmagno, second by Ms. Gibbons, that we approve the purchase of 4 additional security cameras in the amount of $13,965. Is there any discussion of this item?
Mr. Murray.
Mr. Harrison.
I'd just like to comment that we have had a bit of damage in the Simmons Park area, and these cameras will hopefully help us to identify the culprits and act appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Are there any additional comments? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. McLean.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Consolmagno.
Security cameras at Village Green Park. I move that we approve the purchase of 3 additional security cameras in the amount of $9,425.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Consolmagno, second by Ms. Gibbons, that we approve the purchase of 3 additional security cameras in the amount of $9,425. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Consul
The
Magno.
final item I have tonight is the Beagle Drive Bridge Repair Project. I move that we award the Beagle Drive Bridge Repair Project to Michael Fasciano Contracting in the amount of $79,900.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Consul Magno, second by Ms. Gibbons. They award the Beagle Drive Bridge Repair Project to Michael Fasciano Construction or Contracting in the amount of $79,900. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. Murray, this is to repair that bridge. 3 bids went out, and Michael Fasciano Contracting was the lowest of the 3 bids.
Thank you, Mr. Consul Magno. Any additional comments? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Consul Magno.
Thank you.
Are there any additional items? I'll just briefly comment. We had the fireworks, I believe, a week and a half ago. I think for the most part, everything went extremely well. I think what we did is we learned a couple of the locations that we chose, and we had the contractor that did the fireworks come out and actually do some line of sight. Well, they were off a little bit, maybe didn't factor in the trees at Hillcrest Shop and Save, but I think overall, I think it went over extremely well. I'd like to thank staff, everybody really that participated. It was truly a team effort. The Recreation Department, the police, Public Works, the fire department, everybody coordinated. We learned from this, and as we plan for next year, we're going to figure out how we can do it better. But I think overall, it was a very successful event, and I just want to thank everybody.
Move we adjourn?
There's a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned, and good night, everybody.
Thank you.